Good afternoon. My name is Farida Falk. I am the Technical Assistance Team Coordinator for the IN Together We Will program. And the purpose of today's session is really just to be able to answer some of the questions that you may have about what the Peer Technical Assistance Team actually is, what your role will be, and just to give you a chance to be able to ask some questions that you may have while you're still considering applying to be on the team. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The first question you may have is, what even is the Peer Technical Assistance Team, or PTAT for short? So essentially, the PTAT is really just a team of individuals with a diverse array of backgrounds in different programs and grant management, as well as a diverse variety of geographical locations around the state of Indiana. The Peer Technical Assistance Team will be working on the IN Together We Will program, and it is a mini grants program that is funded by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC, and the money was funded to the IDOH. So over the course of the next roughly 2 years or so, different programs that are eligible around the state of Indiana can apply for funding in order to be able to start new programs or help to enhance the quality of programs that they may already have. So the purpose of the technical assistance team is to bring together individuals from all around the state that have already worked with grant-funded programs before to be able to assist low-scoring applicants who are actually not granted funding by our peer review panel. So you will do this by reviewing the applications as they come in, both individually and as a team. You'll come together as a team to share your thoughts, feedback, and brainstorm a list of suggestions for application improvements. And then you'll meet with the applicants, virtually of course, to review applications and provide feedback, answer any questions they have, and really just to help give them that guidance needed so that they can reapply and hopefully get funding the next time that they go through the process. So essentially, your role will be to collaborate with other PTAT members in your region to bring together your collective expertise in aiding these low-scoring applications to reapply for the grant. So what does the process actually look like? The basic process includes individually reviewing the original application and the peer review panel team's scorecard, and then taking some notes and making suggestions for how the application or the proposed program planning can be improved. This shouldn't take too much of your time, but really what you just want to do is look at the application with fresh eyes and also compare it to the notes and the scorecard that is provided from this peer review panel, and think through how you would go about actually improving it and what you would do as an individual if you were working on that program to actually be able to make the program better or to just improve the quality of the overall application. Next, you would participate in an internal review where the other members of your team would discuss their recommendations and basically compile them all into one long list so you know what you're all thinking in terms of how can this application be improved based on the grant review team scorecard, as well as your own areas of expertise in both your geographical location, as well as your own past experience in working with grant funded programs. And then finally, you would participate in an external review with the applicant where you would provide a list of next steps and meaningful feedbacks that will hopefully boost the applicant's chance of being approved and funded by the peer review team as they go through the reapplication process. So another question that I thought may come up was, can your organization still apply for funding even if you are a PTAT member? And the answer is yes, your program or organization absolutely may still apply for funding. The only caveat is that if you're currently applying for funding, you will not be able to actively participate in the application review process as long as your application is still open or active to be able to stop any potential conflict of interest. And of course, you can't review your own applications if they were to end up being denied for funding and pushed to the technical assistance team. So I talked a little bit about these grant funded areas before and how everyone who would be applying to be on the peer technical assistance team should have some area of expertise that they've already worked in. So the 8 grant funded areas that the CDC will be providing funds for are infant and maternal mortality, environmental justice, mental health, substance use, violence, COVID vaccine hesitancy, access, and systemic barriers. Now, I know some of these funded areas may seem a little bit vague, such as access or violence. However, if you go to our Together We Will website, we do have actual examples as well as definitions for each of these funded programs. So it gives you a better idea of what we consider to be a fundable area based on these 8 categories. Another question you may have is how much time will each application require? We're estimating roughly 2.75 hours per application, and that breaks down to about 15 minutes for reading the community applicant's full submission, 1 hour of internal review with your fellow TA team members, 30 minutes for review session prep with the other PTAT members as well as the coordinator, and then 1 hour of in-session review providing feedback on improvement areas with the non-funded community applicant. So it's a really straightforward process, and we wanted to make it as simple as possible. So it's not taking too much of your time, but you can still make sure you're allocating just enough time to really think through how the applicant can actually improve their submissions and be able to talk to them and get each other's feedback in order to make sure that pretty much everyone that goes through this process and tries to get funding for their community programs is able to secure the money that they need. How will you know when you're actually on an application team? So of course, not everyone who is a PTAT member will be assigned to every application that comes in, whether it's because they don't have any connections to the geographical area or because they don't really know much about the funded area that is being applied for. My job as the coordinator is to help organize everything and make sure that everyone from you as PTAT members to the actual applicants really know how to follow through the steps to make this as simple and efficient of a process as possible. So I will actually be reviewing the incoming applications that are sent to us from the peer review panel and categorize them by geographical location and fundable category. From there, I'll select about 3 to 4 individuals from the pool of PTAT members we have to review each application based on your geographical location as well as the fundable category. And then I'll be the one who notifies all of you when you have been assigned to an application and help to coordinate a time for the team to meet via email notifications and scheduling through the Calendly application. And one thing we want to know is the fact that this is something that you will be compensated for because we do appreciate your time. So you'll be getting about $143 per application that is reviewed. And then who should you contact with any questions? That would be me, Farida Falk. I am the Peer Technical Assistance Team Coordinator. And my email address would be technical-assistance@intogetherwewill.com. I will send this information out after our session, but you can also find it on our website. And then I also included my number, 317-658-1831. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'll do whatever I can to help you. And that wraps up the basic FAQ section. Now I'd like to open it up for questions. If you have any questions, please use the chat or the question function below to send them in, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. And again, the application for the Peer Technical Assistance Team is already available on our website, and that is just intogetherwewill.com. Okay, So I'll ask the question. I saw in the application that a question was asked if you managed a state level grant before. And I have worked with organizations to apply and report. I didn't understand if that was considered managing. Yes, I would say that does count as managing, as long as you are working to some capacity where it was applying for, researching the grants, and then, helping to execute the program. I would say that definitely does count, and you should go ahead and submit your application because you do have that experience in working with programs that were funded by the state. That's a great question. Let's see, where do I find the app? The application is on the IN Together We Will website. So you would go to IN Together We Will and you would click on Become a TA, and then it will take you to the TA form, and then at the bottom there's a little yellow button that says Apply Today. You would just click on that to begin. Let's see, when would we begin if selected, and how many per month would be reviewed? That's a really good question. Unfortunately, right now, because we haven't actually begun taking in applications yet, we're just in the beginning phase of really starting to market this program out to people. We really have no idea how many applications we can expect to actually see each month. But we will definitely keep you all up to date and let you know how many applications are starting to come through. But in addition to it depending on how many people and programs apply for funding, it's also going to be based on how many people don't actually get their applications approved for funding by our peer review panel. So essentially, the primary purpose of the technical assistance team is to help those who applied but were denied funding. So that's also going to be a huge cause for variation. So one month we might see like 5 people who end up needing that technical assistance. Another month we might see 20. So we really don't know yet, unfortunately. How much grant is in total given by IDOH? I'm assuming that means how much money is going to be awarded to each program. So each program is eligible for budgets between $1,000 and $75,000. Additionally, each project must be completed within 12 months of actually submitting for the application. Something else that we do plan on doing as time goes on is actually starting to really track the progress of each program that's funded and start to add them to the website so that people can get a better idea: where is the money being used, what improvements are being made, how is this helping to benefit the individuals who live in the communities that are receiving this funding. So yes, right now it's looking at anywhere between $1,000 and $75,000. When are applications due to me? That's a very good question. There's no specific cutoff date for when applications are due. And that is partially because of the fact that we do realize that everyone has different time commitments. There is going to need to be some flexibility for getting a PTAT team together for each application. So this is really sort of ongoing. You can feel free to apply anytime. If you want to apply now, you can apply now. If you think you'll have a bit more availability in the next few weeks or next few months, feel free. You can submit an application anytime. These are ongoing. But the application is already open and available on the Together We Will website. You would just click on the Become a TA button on the top banner, and it will take you to the instructions and the actual application itself. Yes, the compensation is $143 per application. Will we receive an email when we can apply to be a reviewer? You can go ahead and apply to be a reviewer now. So as I stated before, the application is already up and live on our website. So in togetherwewill.com. And again, you would just click on the Become a TA button, and that will direct you to the actual application. Next question was, will we be TA for the entire grant cycle, being the 2 years? That's also a really great question. And that totally depends. So 2 years is a pretty long time to be able to, for you to even say,
what your availability will be and how much you actually want to continue to be a TA. So theoretically, yes, you could be a TA for the entire grant cycle. But because this goes on for such a long time, we're really flexible and we can work with you for however long you would like to participate as a TA. I will say the time commitment, I don't think there will be a lot of time commitment just because, like I said before, it's about 2.5 to 3 hours per application. And we still don't know how many applications we'll be getting on a week to week, day to day, month to month basis. So if you'd like to be a TA for the entire grant cycle, you're more than welcome to be. If not, we totally understand and it's flexible. The application is already up online, but you don't necessarily need to apply right now. Ideally, we'd like to have an idea of how many people we'll have on the team, but it is open for quite some time. Next question, would we need to plan for dedicated hours for this versus regular work hours? So that will really just be answered once we actually have the teams formed and I start to do the coordination. So I will have a Calendly link that I will send to everyone. I don't know how familiar everyone here is with Calendly, but essentially I will give you a list of different times of availability where everyone can choose when they're available, and then from there I'll actually go through and compare everyone's availability, and then we'll schedule and coordinate around that just to make sure it's not taking up too much of your time outside of your regular workday. But also if you're not available between 9 and 5, we can also work around that. So when you apply, there is actually a section asking about your availability for dates and times that you would ideally like to be able to be contacted or work internally or externally with the review team. So, we can definitely work around different schedules. Next question was, will there be training for the team members to be consistent in our work? Absolutely. Training will be relatively ongoing just because we don't know when we'll have our full TA team together, but we'll definitely be conducting a training where we'll go over all the documentation, the steps, and the process so that we do have consistency overall. It's a great question. Next question was, can we select how many we review? Say we have the capacity to review 5 a quarter or something like that. I haven't thought about that before, but I do like that idea. So, just off the top of my head, I'll say yes. You can let us know, or let me know how many you believe you'll be able to review. So we'll see how well you fit onto each team for each application that comes in. And then from there, I think it'll make it a lot easier to be able to get a good gauge of how many you can expect to do in a given period of time. But yes, if you have a lot of, time constraints, I can definitely work with you around that. If you have any other questions that you couldn't think of right now, feel free to send me an email at technical-assistance@intogetherwewill.com, and I will get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Thank you, and I really hope to see your application start to come through in the near future.